8 o'clock. All right. How are we going, team? We're just going to be just waiting for a couple of things to load up, and then I should be good to go. This is going to be the last session of probability. Hey, good open. Just for those of you that are joining on YouTube, just a bit of a heads up that like this will be the last. This will be a really quick session, by the way, because we're just going to cover like the last bits that I need to cover for level 2 probability, and then if we finish a bit early, I might just restart the stream with a different probability question. So just bear with me. Just gonna add one more thing. Image. Where is the image? Really need to organize that ticker. All right, so we're gonna get started here. Let me just, what happened here? Some weird reason. Oh, yep, here we go. That's good. Okay, so the first things that I want to cover is, let me just check my notes. We want to do like the histogram parts, right? So sometimes you know, you don't get normal distribution, or you don't get like table. What you end up getting is like so I guess we're going to be looking at graphs of distributions. Now, as I said to you before, this is just a very quick little summary, which is going to be like just covering the details, and then after that we'll do a couple of questions, and I think we'll probably be done in like 15-20 minutes today, just the initial part, and then I will kind of go through. Kutupan, yeah, I'm fully aware that the exams are starting on November 4th, man. Like, so I will have to readjust my plans for that week 4 timetable and week 5 timetable. I might just rearrange it a little bit so I can try and balance it out. Yeah, now today I just want to focus on the level 2s. Look, I want to get rid of this, and then so we can switch over to another stream and then have a chat, yeah? So normally with graphs of distributions, what happens is you could end up with like a little kind of like a frequency kind of graph here. So I'm gonna do like a rough, and let's say we go with like something like test score, for example. And so what happens is that you get like little blocks, right? So for example, you could get something like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then what ends up happening is that you pretty much have like a frequency kind of table here, like kind of things. So for example, this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to do a real quick example here. So let's say we've got 2 people that get 3, and then maybe we've got like 1 person that gets 1 out of for this test, and then let's say we get, just going to draw it roughly here. So we've got 4 people getting 4, and maybe 3 getting 5. So yeah, I mean, like, this is what the question would look like, but like pretty much you can convert this to a table if you want to work with as a table, but really it's about just learning how to read this particular graph and then coming up with probabilities. So for example, if you look at this, and let's say, what's the probability someone no, because what's the probability student got less than 4. So if we're looking for less than 4, then we've got to go, well, that's actually, no, let's try it this way. If it's less than 4, I'm actually looking for these 3 numbers here. So totally I've got 1 plus 2, which is 3, over 3 and 4, that's 7, and then 10. So this probability ends up being 3 out of 10. So the 10 actually comes from all of this red part here, the frequency added up. So that's where the 10 actually comes from. So this becomes like 3 out of 10. I'm Hank. We're just catching up on some quick graphs of distributions, and then I'm going to switch over stream to restart a probability one, but we'll probably look at some exam questions, see how that goes. So that is just roughly for probability. What I might do is I might just see if I can get a couple of questions for us. Oh, sorry. One of the things that I need to let you know. Sometimes they'll ask you about distributions, like describing the graphs. So one thing that you'll need to remember is what this histogram ends up looking like what this graph actually looks like. So you get the different types of shapes. So that's something you need to remember. So shapes is like, oh, that's terrible, normal. So that'll end up being a normal shape. Sometimes you'll get like more like a triangle shape. So it's a very clear triangle shape. You could also get rectangular shape. Sometimes you get some really weird ones, like for example, where the graph could look like this. And if it does look like that, you can actually call that irregular. And finally, you get the bimodal. Bimodal is usually like when the graph ends up looking like a couple of really two kind of big spikes that you can see. That ends up being bimodal. OFC Kumar, go have a look at this playlist. I mean, this playlist is part 10. I think I covered the standard deviation for normal distribution and things like that in part 3 or 4. So find the playlist on YouTube. It's called Level 2 Probability in 10 Hours. And good luck with it. All right. And then there's also sometimes they do symmetry as well. Like that's something that you'll have to keep in mind. So you'll have to describe the symmetry of it. So symmetry is obviously, this is symmetrical, triangle, rectangular, and bimodal. I mean, like just to give you an idea. And it may be, all right? So it may be symmetrical, but irregular is definitely not symmetrical. Corin, are you at Pompelia tomorrow? Umar, that really depends on the question. Like sometimes they'll ask you to compare. If they ask you to work out like the median, mode, range is easy because you just go the highest minus. So yeah, I mean, let's just show you quickly. So range would be the highest minus the lowest. So whatever your highest value. So in this case, you've got the high value, which is 5, and then you've got low value, which is 1. So your range is going to be 4. Your median is really important. So in this case, I've actually got 10 numbers. So if I want to find the median, that's going to be between the 5th and the 6th. And luckily in this case, so I'm going to use a different, let's go with this. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the median is going to be between that, which in this case, the median is actually going to be equal to 4. And then if you have a look at, what was the other one that you asked me? You asked me median mode. Mode is the most common. So mode in this case is also happens to be 4. So yeah, that's pretty much the graph, like the final part that I really wanted to go through. Last thing is like you'll see skewness. So if you get a graph like this, or if you get a graph like this, so this is skewed to the left, and then this one is skewed to the right. Now these things are important because sometimes they ask you this question like, hey, is this graph fit a normal distribution? Now you could actually talk about all the normal distribution features and then compare it to the graph. So if we look at this example that I've done here, would I call this normal distribution? Probably not, because I know that if I was to draw like a rough shape, I'm getting more like a skew to the left. So I wouldn't actually call it a normal distribution. The mean, Omahank, we don't really worry too much about the mean in these cases. It's predominantly we worry about the median. Not sure, Jeffrey. Whatever you find hard is you find hard. I mean, that's all I can say, man. Yeah, in a second, like, I mean, what you could do is like, I mean, it won't work for graphs of distributions, but if you want to figure out like the 3 standard deviation thing, and I think let me just go back to my notes, because I can't remember which one, maybe part 5, was it? No, part 4. Or maybe I didn't actually talk about the 3 standard deviant things at all. Okay, that's fine. So the idea being is that like when you take a normal distribution graph, right? So let's say, just following on from here. So normally you would have this middle part here is the mean. All right. Now the standard deviation, when you go 1 standard deviation across, so this is mean plus 1 standard deviation. This is minus 1 standard deviation. And if I'm correct, is it 90% or, man, I can't remember. Hang on. It's going to be 0 and 1. So let me just, 68% if I remember correctly. I think it's 68%. Let me just go back and check. Which one was it? Part 5? Part 4? Yeah, roughly 68%, because you can kind of see that here. So when it actually does 1 standard deviation, whoa, that's the wrong one. So 1 standard deviation is, it's not allowing me to go through that, but hopefully you guys can see it. That's 1 standard deviation there. 2 standard deviation is somewhere there, so that's the 95%. And then 3 standard deviation, which is roughly 99%. So in other words, what generally means is that, like, what it means is that if you go from the mean, you go 1 standard deviation above, you're going to cover plus or minus 1 SD. That's going to be 68%. So this is 34%, and then this is 34%. When you do mean plus or minus 2 standard deviation, you're going to get 95%. And finally, when you do mean plus or minus 3 standard deviation, you should roughly get 99%. So that's just another little useful thing for graphs of distributions. Then you could pretty much use that also to kind of say, hey, this won't actually work with normal distribution. But I think you'd need the standard deviation though. Summary, does your page have a summary of the whole probability standard? Kayla, I don't have like a summary as such, but I do have like this whole playlist gets saved, and it's a 10-hour playlist on YouTube that you can catch up on. Well, you're welcome, Matthew. Now, in a second, I don't think distribution. I don't think you know that that's just to cover the basics of normal distribution. Because in your, like, when you have your graph of distributions, I think that there is a way to find the standard deviation for it, but generally we seem to not do that in level 2 stats. Don't ask me why. Yeah. Like I know in like Cambridge exams, they do the standard deviation part for this. I've not made a cheat sheet, Mila, but look, what I'll do is, I mean, I'm messing around with it. All of these notes are, I think the link for my OneNote is on the YouTube stream. So you can jump on the YouTube stream and just grab a copy of this and just look through it. Yeah. Jeffrey, yeah, they tend to make the questions trickier as time goes by, because, you know, it's just people can kind of figure out questions fairly easily after that. But in saying that, in probability, you're always going to get a normal distribution excellence question. I think it's almost like a given. Best thing to do before, look, a lot of folks ask me this, like, what can I do to get E? I would say, you can easily take some of these questions and chuck it up on ChatGPT and just generate questions from there and ask it to help you. All right. So we're just going to do like a couple of questions, nothing too major. As you can see, these were generated by ChatGPT, so we can kind of have a go through it and see how you guys do. All right, really quick question, because I'm not going to spend too much time on this, because like these questions, it's pretty much kind of repeat what they ask. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to work through, and then what I'll do is I'll go through the answers. And also this graph was generated by ChatGPT, and I can already see quite a few mistakes in it. Mila, that's a really tricky one, especially at level 2. I don't know why, but they mix up the order of the questions in level 2. In level 3, at least, it's fairly straightforward, because we know that question E will always be excellence and question AB would be achieved. But especially I don't know why they do that. So it's best to kind of give a go with all the questions. Yeah, they mix it up, Brooke. That's the problem. Because in level 2, I think they have like a double excellence question sometimes, so it can be mixed up. 20. Oh, that's a tricky one. 2016, 17, because like some of the older papers, like in 2014, graphics calculators were not as popular, so some of the questions that were given as merit, they no longer work as merit anymore. So yeah, I mean, but there's still a couple. The excellence questions are still good to try from there, just because the different variety of questions that they ask you, it's pretty good. What's the formula for probability? Number of outcomes divided by the event? No, event divided by number of outcomes. I always get confused with that one. Wow, Eli, you got marks pretty late. Yeah, Bruno, I think center is just talking about the median, really. So spread, it's interquartile range, or the, what do you call it, the range, but I think mainly interquartile range. You look at the spread. No, this is not exponential probability. All right, I'll go through this question, all right, because I mean, like, there's really nothing more to do in these ones apart from the odd questions that sneak in every now and then. So the first question is, what percentage of vans had no repairs? So no repairs is 12. We've got 50 vans in total, so that's going to be 12 out of 50. That should be enough. And I think because it's asking for percentage, we just want to write this as percentage and not as a fraction. So that's going to be 24%. The next question is asking for what proportion of vans had more than 3 repairs. So we're looking for more than 3. So that's going to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've got 5 here. We've got 3, 3, 2, and 1. So that's going to give us 14 out of 50. And we can leave that as 0.28. How to go from fraction to percentage? Just times it by 100. All right, so now it's asking for describe the distribution here. Now this one here, you can clearly see that this is not normal distribution. There is no symmetry. So you can actually say that, there's no symmetry in this. There's no, it's not normal distribution. Well, it could, nah, I don't think it could be. It's just more like it's skewed to the right, right? That's what I would say. It's right skewed, no symmetry, and what other else that can we add in there? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There's nothing else to this distribution. All right, guys. So what I'm going to do now is I am this is pretty much, well, it depends, Mila. It depends what they ask. I know in this one I kept the distribution really simple. But if we go back to, I think it was 20... I'm trying to think which paper it was. Was it 2022 maybe? See, this one here. They wanted sorry, I'm just going to zoom in a bit here. So they asked discuss two of center, shape, and spread in response. So in this case, they've actually given a mean of 8 and a standard deviation of 2. So you can kind of, and I think this is what someone else was asking before about the whole, can you actually do plus or minus the 2 standard deviation, the 3 standard deviation thing? So yeah, I mean sorry, just hang on, I'm just reading this. So what I'd written there, that's more than kind of enough. So for center, would you, for median, and compare it to what would it be with the normal distribution? No, Bruno, just you gotta be mindful, right? Because normal distribution, you generally have the mean. So, and that's why it can get a bit tricky. But if you can find the mean and then compare the means, that'll be all right. But you can't actually compare the median of the graph with mean for normal distribution because they're two different values. You have to keep that in mind. Yeah, in a second. I was just talking about that earlier with the plus or minus. So basically with the, where did I have it? So what it means is like this. So if I go plus, where is it? Keep pressing the wrong thing. To give you an idea, let me just go do this. 2 standard deviation. All right. So if you go within 1 standard deviation, you're going to cover 68% of all the data you're working with. Now, if you decide to go with 2 standard deviation, you will cover 95% of the data. So that's pretty much all of this and this. And then if you actually end up going 3 standard deviation, you're going to cover 99%, including all of this blue part here. So basically what it does is it kind of branches out and goes, right, 1 standard deviation, I'm going to collect all of this data. When I go 2 standard deviation, I'm going to go 95% of the data. And then when I go 3 standard deviation, that's going to collect almost 99% of the data. So that's pretty much the idea behind it. Jeffrey, now you don't get penalized for that because I think you can do it as fractions or decimals or proportions. I don't think it matters as long as the final answer comes out to be the decimal that you like. Whatever the answer is, then you should be fine. Yeah, in a second you've got to do plus or minus because you actually remember your mean is actually right in the middle. So that means you've got to go one side plus, one side minus. So that's what that plus or minus actually means. It's covering one above the mean and one below the mean. 14th of October. Oh no, Clipster. I didn't do one on 14th of October because it was my kid's birthday and I had to, we went out for dinner, so we didn't actually do that on that night. Yeah, Mila, yeah, they do give that formula, but I don't think they actually give you the plus or minus one. Oh, have I not changed it? Sorry, mate. Yeah, that was my bad. Forgot this was my old 10 hours part 10. There we go, done. All right, team. Look, that's pretty much like the majority of this stuff covered here. What I might do is I might just open up a new stream, because I'm just going to stop this stream, and what I'll do is I'll open up a level 2 probability stream, and I got about half an hour. Maybe we can do a few different types of questions. Not these ones, but like, because these ones, they're very selective, but like if there's anything that you guys want to do, then I am happy to kind of work through. So Jolyn, how do we know when to use this? It depends on the question, right? When the question comes through, you kind of will go, ooh, do I need to use this or not? It's hard to kind of mention on the spot. All right, so I'm sorry, I'm just going to wrap up this series here for the level 2 probability. That's pretty much, I think I've covered pretty much most of the things that you need for level 2 probability. After this, I reckon the best thing to do is to watch the exam paper tutorials, walkthroughs, and I'll actually put a link up at the end of this video as well. Cool. Yeah, that's basically it. All right, now for the rest of the parts, I'm just gonna switch over stream, guys. I'm gonna jump back on. All right, so just give me a second. I just have to create a new stream and I will jump over. Probability level 2, create. I needed to finish this playlist. Stream. What is happening here? No, go back. Schedule a stream. All right, there we go. So just give me 1 second. I just want to change. I think this is the first probability tutorial that I'm doing. When was the last one? 29th October. 29th October. Yep. Rio settings. 25. 1925. All right, I'm just going to switch over to the stream, guys. Give me 1 second. And I'll stop this other one. Where is it? Copy. There we go. All right, so that's the stream I'm going to jump over to. I'll catch you guys in the other one, all right? So I'm just going to stop this one. Oh yeah, and good luck for your exams if you're not coming back.